I thank the Prime Minister for the advanced copy of her statement, and I'm pleased that she's condemned the horrific murder of Jamal Khashoggi in the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. But condemnation, Mr. Speaker, is not enough. What matters now is what action the government is prepared to take. Will they now end arms sales to Saudi Arabia? Moving on to Brexit, I hope our debate today will be conducted without some of the language reported in the press over the weekend. I have to say, every word on Brexit was anticipated, a mixture of failure, denial and delusion. The Conservative Party has spent the past 2 years arguing with itself instead of negotiating a sensible deal in the public interest. And even at this crucial point, they're still bickering amongst themselves. The Prime Minister says 95% of the deal is done, but previously she had told us nothing is agreed until everything is agreed. Which is it? Their Brexit negotiations have been a litany of missed deadlines, shambolic failure, and now they're begging for extra time. They promised the interim agreement would be done by October 2017, then December 2017, and finally agreed in March 2018. The Prime Minister even missed the deadline for publishing her own government's white paper on Brexit, saying it would be published in June. It arrived in mid-July, lacking any clarity on the key issues and, crucially,
I believe there are 4 steps we need to take. First, we must make the commitment to a temporary UK-EU
just last week, the government missed its October deadline for agreeing to the terms of the exit deal with the EU. Instead, the Prime Minister went to Brussels to beg for an extension. The EU had already offered to convene a special summit in November to help the Prime Minister, but it now seems this has been withdrawn as she won't be ready by then either.
Steps
so
we
now
need to take.
December is being talked about. And the Prime Minister claims her extension of the transition period will only be for a matter of months. Is that 3? Is that 6? Is that 12? Is that 18? How many months is it? Who knows? Because certainly the Prime Minister does not. But can the Prime Minister give one straight answer? What will it cost in extra payments to the EU per month during this extension? The government is only proposing this extension because of its own incompetence. We've had 2.5 years watching the Tories' failure to negotiate. Now even the Prime Minister doesn't have confidence she can negotiate a deal by December 2020. That is another 14 months. What faith can anyone have that extending that deadline by a matter of months will help? Perhaps the Prime Minister can inform the House. The Prime Minister also begged European leaders to come up with creative solutions. The country voted to leave, her cabinet members said they would take back control, and now the Prime Minister is pleading with the EU to work out how to do it. It doesn't sound like taking back control, it sounds like a government and a Prime Minister that is losing control. This government is terminally incompetent, hamstrung by its own divisions. The Prime Minister of Lithuania summed up the situation pretty succinctly when he said, "We do not know what they want. They do not know themselves what they really want. That is the problem." I'm sure the whole House would love to...
Order. There was too much noise when the Prime Minister was addressing the House. Mr Opperman, not only are you a distinguished barrister and a Minister of the Crown, you are a graduate of the University of Buckingham in my constituency. I cannot believe that you were taught to behave in that way, chuntering noisily from a sedentary position by lecturers in my constituency. Mr Jeremy Corbyn.
I'm sure the whole House would love to hear their precise and detailed blueprint. Perhaps when she comes back to the dispatch box, the Prime Minister could set out her plan. The whole country is waiting for a plan that works for Britain, not another fudge kicking the can down the road to keep her party in power. Much of the current impasse is due to the Northern Ireland border. Hardly an issue that can come as a surprise to government. There is a simple solution, a comprehensive customs union with the EU, a solution that not only benefits Northern Ireland, but would help to safeguard skilled jobs in every region and nation of Britain. No hard border in Ireland and no hard border down the Irish Sea, and good jobs for every region and nation. That, Mr. Speaker, is a deal that could command a majority of support in this House and the support of businesses and unions. It is Labour's plan, a comprehensive customs union with a real say for Britain, with no race to the bottom on regulations, standards and rights. The alternative is not no deal, but a workable plan. This government doesn't even trust its own benches to have a meaningful vote, with the Brexit Secretary submitting a letter that told us we must choose between a disastrous no deal and the government deal, a deal which doesn't yet exist, for which there is now no deadline. Mr. Speaker, Brexit was supposed to be about taking back control, but what much of her cabinet campaigned for, and where have we ended up? Parliament being denied the chance to take back control, and because of this government's vacillation, 5 years on from the referendum, we could still be paying into the EU with no MEPs, no seat at the Council of Ministers, no commissioners and no say for this country. Instead of taking back control, they're giving away our say and paying for the privilege. What an utter shambles. Having utterly failed to act in the public interest, will the Prime Minister do so now and make way for a government that can and will?
Can I first of all say to the right honourable gentleman, there was an awful lot in his comments about process, but not actually that much about substance and about what they actually want to see. Can I also say to him this? That I think it is incumbent on all of us in public life to be careful about the language we use. There are passionate beliefs and passionate views that are held on this subject and other subjects, but whatever the subject is, we should all be careful about our language. Now, there was an awful lot about process, as I say, in which he seemed to be at one point asking us to set out our plan. Well, I have to say to him, we set out our plan. We set it out in a white paper of over 100 pages back in the summer. And he talks about a future relationship of a customs union. But whatever future relationship we do have to deal with this backstop issue, because without a backstop in the withdrawal agreement, there'll be no withdrawal agreement. Without the withdrawal agreement, there'll be no future relationship. Nothing is agreed until everything is agreed. So it doesn't matter what future relationship you want. We do actually need to deal with this backstop issue. And his position has been that no deal is not acceptable in any circumstances. Well, that means accepting any deal the European Union wants to give us, including a deal which would carve Northern Ireland out away from the United Kingdom. Although perhaps, of course, as his Shadow Chancellor, from the comments his Shadow Chancellor has made, we know he might actually welcome that when he said he was longing for a united Ireland. All I have to say to the right honourable gentleman is, throughout all of this, all we have seen from the Labour Party, from him, is playing politics with this issue. 1 minute they want to accept the referendum, the next they want a second referendum. 1 minute they want to say free movement will end, the next they say free movement is still on the table. 1 minute they want to do trade deals, the next minute they want to be in customs union that will stop them from doing trade deals. He is doing everything he can to frustrate Brexit and trigger a general election. He's voted against sufficient progress, he's tried to block the Withdrawal Act, he's vowed to oppose any deal that the government brings back. I'm looking and working for the right deal in the national interest for this country. He's putting politics ahead of the national interest.